workers are lost in Africa.
That is not crack-a-lack.
They're on a mission.
Let's get out while we can.
To get back home.
Let's fly. If we fold it here and here. Next.
DreamWorks Madagascar 2, coming soon.
This is, of course, the sequel to the original Madagascar, which came out in 2005. And in this one, the main character is once again a party of animals from the Central Park Zoo, whose adventures have taken them to the Madagascar island and have found themselves in the African savannas, where they meet others of their species, and where Alex the lion reunites with his parents, played by Bernie Mac and Sherry Shepherd. Now, this weekend in particular is a very notable weekend because this is the weekend where Bernie Mac had not one but two movies. We'll get to the other one later. And, of course, this was about 3 months after he had died. On August 9th, he passed away at the age of, I think it was 56 or something like that. He was, 50, not even that, 50 years old. And he passed away because of complications from pneumonia. And, I mean, Bernie Mac's one of those great one of those great stand-up comedians, and he was great on the Bernie Mac show. He was looking like he was on his way to a pretty decent film career in a kind of a little bit of a renaissance of his career after the Bernie Mac show ended. And then he passed away not a couple months before this came out, and it's a shame because we lost a really good comic genius, honestly. I mean, he's one of the original kings of comedy for a reason, and you know, we'll talk about him in Soul Man in just a little bit, but in this movie, I'll be honest with you, probably not his overall best performance overall. I feel like he was kind of slouching a little bit here, but, I mean, hey, any chance you get to hear somebody like Bernie Mac's voice in this, I mean, it fits perfectly for what they're trying to do here. And it really kind of fits into a lot of the problems with the movie in general. Not that this is a bad movie per se, but I feel like of the Madagascar movies, this might be the weakest one, just by a little bit, mostly because there's just a lot of stuff that goes on in this movie. Too much stuff goes on in terms of subplots. You have a subplot with Chris Rock. You know, he has this thing where Alex can't tell the difference when he's with all these other zebras. And it's not really set up that well. Alex has a subplot where he has to take over the pride of his family setup. And he's got this bully lion, played by Alec Baldwin, who's basically the equivalent of Scar and Jack Donaghy from 30 Rock. I mean, you might as well just call him Scar Donaghy, because he's literally the character from 30 Rock in this movie, Alec Baldwin is. I mean, he's not even trying to hide it. There's a subplot about King Julian and all them trying to, appease the gods to fix the water problem. And there's a subplot there's one subplot in particular that I thought was really, really funny, where the old lady who knocked up Alex around in the first movie comes back in this one and has like a bigger subplot in here. Like she's part of this group of tourists, and their bus crashes, and all of a sudden she just becomes like the queen of the whole thing, and it just gets crazy what they do with her. And it actually does pay off in a pretty funny climax in general here. There's a subplot about Jada Pinkett Smith, with all these hippos, and this other hippo played by will.i.am wants to hit on her. I mean, there's just so much going on in this movie, and it really kind of hurts the film in general because there is too much going on in here. But on the plus side, a lot of the stuff they do in here do lead to a lot of good funny payoffs. I mean, there are a lot of really solid funny moments all across the board in here. The animation is definitely much better in this one, but I don't know. Like, to me, this one's not quite as good as the first one, but I mean, I say it's not the weakest of the series, but it's not a bad movie in general. There's still a lot I really liked about this movie. The humor I thought was still very funny. I thought the animation was really good. I thought the subplots did eventually pay off in very funny results. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. I would say, yeah, it's definitely the weaker of the three films, but I wouldn't say it's anything against the films in general. All three of these movies are still legitimately funny all across the board, but I feel like the next one really took up the ante on what they could do with these characters and all, and made a really fun movie out of that one. We'll get to Madagascar 3 in about 4 years' time, but that's one I think is probably the best of the overall films in general. But this one's still really good, though. If you're looking for a fun adventure with the same guys from Madagascar, you definitely get it with this one here. Madagascar Escape to Africa, the weakest one of the series, but still one I really like a lot. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, Paul Rudd and Sean William Scott starring in the comedy Role Models.
The judge, you're going to Sturdy Wings.
They thought community service
We bring adults and children together.
would be the easy way out.
What up, Ronnie?
I don't want to take my pants off.
What?
But it's turning into
Ronnie, I'm black. You think I did it?
I will hit a child. I've never done that before, but I will punch you in the face.
hard time.
No. What are you doing?
From Universal Pictures,
We need your help.
I am not here to service you. I'm here to service these young boys.
Role Models at Dark starts November 7th.
So in this movie, Paul Rudd and Sean William Scott play these two energy drink salesmen who are ordered to perform 150 hours of community service as punishment for various offenses. And for their services, the two men work at a program designed to pair children with adult role models. One of the kids in here is Bobby J. Thompson, and one of the other people that the guys have to deal with is Christopher Mintz-Plasse, McLovin from Superbad, and you also have, as you see in the trailer, Jane Lynch and Elizabeth Banks, her second movie of this fall after Zack and Miri make a porno, and also Amanda Rigetti from The Mentalist is in this movie too for a little brief role here, but you know, there was a time when she was actually all over the place. I think mostly because she was on The Mentalist, but she was in a bunch of other movies too, and I feel like they were setting her up to be the next big thing, but never really took off that way. But regardless, this is still a really good movie. This is a really good return for David Wayne, whose last movie was The 10, which was not that good of a movie. This is, of course, the guy that directed Wet Hot American Summer, but this is a much better movie than The 10 was. It's a very funny film. Paul Rudd and Sean William Scott just work off each other so well, and Paul Rudd had a hand with the script in here, as well as Ken Marino. And David Wayne, of course, has been a very solid filmmaker as a whole, solid comedian. I mean, there's a lot to admire about this movie. It's very funny, very silly, very stupid, but in a fun kind of way. It's a very ridiculously fun movie that features two really good solid performances from Rudd and Sean William Scott. And I'm glad to see that Sean William Scott was getting some pretty good roles after the American Pie series ended. He looked like he kind of gotten pushed off to the side, but there were some good movies there, here and there. Well, this one, and we'll have another one coming up in just a little bit here with Balls Out, Gary the Tennis Coach, which is actually a really good direct-to-DVD movie that came out. I think that was supposed to go to theaters, but it went straight to DVD, but it was definitely worth it. And this movie really is a very fun movie. A lot of solid performances all across the board. Very silly, funny stuff. What more can you say, man? Role Models was a ton of fun. It's kind of been overlooked as of late. It doesn't really get talked about as much as it did back then. I mean, it was a big hit when it came out, but nobody's really talked about it since then. But, man, it's definitely one that's worth checking out. Role Models, I highly recommend that one easily. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is the other movie that Bernie Mac was in, starring alongside Samuel L. Jackson. This is Soul Men.
Come on down to Floyd's Car Wash, where everything is done by hand. You guarantee a full body wash.
30 years ago, Floyd Henderson was part of music history.
VH1 is putting together a tribute at the Apollo.
The real deal is back.
Now, there's only one thing standing in the way of a comeback. His former partner.
If we do this right, we can get a record deal. I ain't trying to make no comeback. I guess you don't care about the 40 grand. That ain't even enough. I got a lifestyle to maintain here. What kind of lifestyle, man? You got a pantry full of dog food. I don't see no dog. Dog under the bed. You lucky he didn't attack your ass when you came in. We ain't two old friends out for some Sunday drive, so you best not to provoke me. Well, let me say it good. Be careful, fool. Oh! You all right? You dizzy? You lightheaded? What the hell is wrong with you? What's that? We're gonna be at the Apollo this weekend. We ain't been on stage in over 30 years. We look good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the unforgettable sounds of the real deal.
If they ever expect to have a future,
My eye. I'm sorry, man. I got on these tight slacks.
they'll have to reconnect with their past.
Your mother always made us sound a little bit better.
She said, on the road with y'all was some of the best times of her life.
Why don't you come with us?
1, 2, 3.
On November 7th,
You ain't said nothing stupid about Cleo. I'm your daddy.
You're not my father, Floyd.
She said what?
He knows who I am.
a lot can happen
Knocked up my wife.
on the road to a comeback.
Call the police. The network just called and they're off the show.
This ain't over till we say it's over.
Samuel L. Jackson, Bernie Mac,
Because you were here, just want to wish you luck. Come on, children, and gather around. I got the boogie for you. I'm starting to remember why I love the road so much.
Well, I got something to show you.
You got something to show me?
I sure do. Oh, yeah.
Soul Men.
Good night. Oh, hey, what's that? You been taking the pills again? I thought it was my cholesterol mess. I swear I did. Can't be spooning with that. What's wrong with about you?
Yeah, this is one of those movies where you feel like there's so much that could be done with this, but unfortunately, you know, there were so many things going on, unfortunately, that happened behind the scenes. Not only did Bernie Mac die, you see Isaac Hayes in the trailer there, and he passed away the day after Bernie Mac died. So the film basically was re-edited, according to Malcolm Lee, the director here, to soften the tone of the film as a tribute to the two actors, which, I get it, it's a noble cause, but at the same time, I think it really, really hurt the finished project as a whole. So in this movie, you have when an R&B legend, Marcus Hooks, dies suddenly, VH1 invites his original backup duo, Floyd Henderson and Lewis Hines, the real deal, played by Samuel Jackson and Bernie Mac, to appear at a memorial tribute at the Apollo Theater. Floyd, who's bored in retirement, wants this more than anything. Lewis, a philosophical ex-con, does not. Plus, there's bad blood between them. Lewis's wife Odetta left him to marry Floyd and then left Floyd. Floyd begs, Louis consents but won't fly, so they leave L.A. in Floyd's flashy Cadillac with 5 days to get to New York. On the road, they must get back their vocal cords, renew their friendship, and sort out the past. With Floyd's bad hip and Lewis's bad kidneys, will they even make it? Well, technically, one of them makes it by the time this movie comes out, but that's a whole other thing altogether. But like I said before, I think because Bernie Mac and Isaac Hayes died, and this was supposed to have more of a little bit of a softer tone than what they were expecting, I think it hurts the film in the long run overall. I feel like this film could have been something really good because you see how well Samuel Jackson and Bernie Mac work off each other in this film. And there are a lot of good moments with the two of them in there. They can be very funny. The jokes work a lot. And there's a lot of good chemistry between the two of them. But, man, I feel like once he and Isaac Hayes died, this film really, lost a lot of that muster. And it's a shame because this is a good movie. But I feel like there could have been a really great movie here. I think there's a lot there that could be done. A lot of really good people in this cast. Sharon Leal, you see Jennifer Coolidge, Sean Hayes, Afian Crockett, John Legend. I mean, just a lot of really good people in here. And the music overall is really solid too. I think there is a lot here in this film that really does work, but just not enough to really say that this is one you gotta go and check out and see. It's a must-see film. I would say that it's a serviceable film. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's a very serviceable film. I think Samuel Jackson and Bernie Mac are the highlights of the movie. They really are a ton of fun here. And again, it shows what Bernie Mac could really do if he got a chance to, show off his dramatic chops more here. Because there are some good emotional moments with him in this movie that really does work very well. We know Samuel Jackson can act his ass off. I mean, that guy has done more than enough to prove that already. But I mean, it's weird. It's a film that I would say is good, but I feel like it could have been really great if the tone had been not as what they set it off to be in this film in general. It felt like they really cut down the load of what this could have been, but then again, it's Malcolm Lee. Malcolm Lee has very rarely made a bad movie as a whole. I mean, he's had some pretty decent films overall. And this is one of those ones where it's just like, yeah, this is another one that's pretty decent, but one that I feel like could have been really, really special and really good if Bernie Mac had not passed away before this film came out. And like I said, it's a good movie, but it feels like it could have been a really great movie had they not cut the tone down a little bit. But I'm glad I saw it. It's one I still keep in my collection. It's one I definitely still kind of enjoy. So take that for what you will. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie we have here. Much different tone than Soul Man, the lighthearted Soul Man. Here's The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Gotta love how the trailer card says why this movie's PG-13. Some mature thematic material involving the Holocaust. That's the way to describe this movie, as some mature thematic material involving the Holocaust. Like, that's the reason why this has got a PG-13 rating. But, I mean, then again, it does kind of make sense for this film because this is set in Nazi-occupied Poland and follows the son of a Schutzstaffel officer who befriends a Jewish prisoner of his age. Asa Butterfield, who would later be seen in Hugo and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children's in here. Vera Farmiga, David Thewlis, Rupert Friend. Really, really deep film in general, and it is a very good movie. It is actually a very legitimately good film. A film that could have easily gone the wrong pathway, but It does have it does have a, believe it or not, a much lighter tone to it than I was expecting. And it is like, it's not to say that it's completely lighthearted, but it's definitely a movie that feels like the emotional weight is well warranted here. It's not like it's being manipulative in any way, shape, or form. Although I've seen here that this has actually been panned by a lot of people for misrepresenting elements of the Holocaust, which, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, they do take a little bit of some liberties here with what they try to do here, but it works out in the end. It's, like I said, it's a film that's not manipulative as much as you would think it is. The acting overall is great. There's a lot of good talent here. You can never go wrong with James Horner doing your score. The music overall is pretty good. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie overall. Yeah, it's not going to give you everything you want from it, but it's enough to say that, hey, it's worth it. It's worth it to watch one time. And I'd say, yeah, it's definitely worth it. It is a good movie overall, but yeah, it's definitely one of those films that has a lot of flaws to it, but not enough for me to say not to recommend it. So yeah, it's one you should definitely check out. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next film we have here, that is Repo, the Genetic Opera. So this was a movie that everyone was predicting back then. This was going to be the next big cult classic. This was going to be like the next Rocky Horror Picture Show. And that just kind of disappeared. Like, the film didn't have the big legacy that I think a lot of people were expecting it to have. But then again, Lionsgate, I don't think really had any idea how to sell the film to people, and it kind of got pushed off to the side. But is the film actually is the film that bad, or were we just not, did it actually become something more than we expected it to? Well, you have a story that takes place in the year 2056, a not so distant future, in which an epidemic of organ failures devastates the planet. Out of the tragedy, a savior emerges, Genco, a biotech company that offers organ transplants for a price. Those who miss their payments are scheduled for repossession and hunted by villainous repo men. In a world where surgery addicts are hooked on pain-killing drugs and murder is sanctioned by law, a sheltered young girl searches for the cure to her own rare disease, as well as information about her family's mysterious history. After being sucked into the haunting world of Genco, she is unable to turn back, as all of her questions will be answered at the wildly anticipated spectacular event, the Genetic Opera. This is directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who did the past 3 Saw movies, didn't return for the 5th one because of this, and having watched the movie now, I can honestly say that this is probably a film that probably does deserve to have somewhat of a following behind it, because it is actually kind of a fun movie. It's a film that knows how campy it is, how over the top it is. I mean, it's literally described as a gothic rock opera, and it just works really well. There's a lot of good people in this cast. Alexa Vega, Sarah Brightman, Paul Sorvino, Paris Hilton, surprisingly pretty decent in here. I mean, it is Paris Hilton, but, you know, hey, there you go. She actually had a movie that wasn't a bad movie that she acted in. I mean, she was actually kind of decent here. Anthony Stewart Head is pretty good in here. Bill Moseley. I mean, the music is surprisingly really catchy too. This is a film that I really do think could have gone on to become a cult hit, but it just kind of disappeared after that. And I don't think it even has a Blu-ray or 4K release at this point. I think it's only been released on DVD, and that's it. Like, nobody really ever talks about this film anymore. But honestly, it's one I feel like kind of deserves more recognition. It's a film that I was really going into it not knowing what I was going to get from it, but I was really pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It's one of those ones that I kind of want a physical copy of it so I can actually watch the movie anytime I want to. But yeah, it's a film that actually does deserve to be checked out. It's a very good film. Silly, over the top, goofy fun. It's fun all around. If you like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, you're going to love the hell out of this. Repo, the Genetic Opera. With that said, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and burp before I give you the last movie here. Let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here. Jean-Claude Van Damme is JCVD. Speaking of movies that were not appreciated during their time, what a great movie this is. And credit Jean-Claude Van Damme for just, going all in and just having the time of his life making fun of himself. But also showing off that, hey, the guy actually does have some really good acting chops. Here he plays a fictionalized version of himself who's a down-and-out action star whose family and career are crumbling around him as he's caught in the middle of a post-office heist in his hometown of Brussels, Belgium. And this was actually his first major theatrical release of a film since Universal Soldier: The Return almost 10 years ago. But, yeah, this just makes you realize how much we miss Jean-Claude Van Damme as the lead action star. Because, man, not every movie he made was great, but, man, that guy has a lot of charisma to him. If you see some of his better movies, like, I'm talking about stuff like Time Cop, so even Street Fighter, the 94 Street Fighter is still the best Street Fighter movie we've gotten, depending on when this new Street Fighter movie comes out, although they just pushed it back again. Sudden Death, a great movie. Even his bad movies like Maximum Risk and Double Team. I mean, Double Team is hilariously bad for just that terribly wonderful ending in the Coliseum. That's one of the great moments, one of those great over-the-top moments. The guy has a really good sense of humor. I mean, he has to be that guy that has to do that, because the stuff that he does in these movies are so ridiculously stupid, but you can tell his heart is in these movies. And even the direct-to-video movies he makes, some of them are not as terrible as you think they are. They're certainly a lot better than the ones that Steven Seagal and Wesley Snipes have done since they were pushed out of Hollywood's mainstream circuit. But this film was a lot of fun to watch. And it just makes you realize how much you miss Jean-Claude Van Damme, because not only can the dude still be a badass action star, but that shows he's got some pretty good acting chops as a whole. And I think he deserves a career renaissance, man. I mean, he started getting it after this movie a little bit with The Expendables 2, where he was pretty good playing the bad guy in that movie, but I want to see him get a real career renaissance, man. I think this guy has a lot more potential to him than I think we let on, and hopefully someday somebody will give him an opportunity to go back and making movies again. I want him to have that big comeback, man, because this movie does show you that this guy still has it, man. He's still got what it takes, and it just makes you want to see this guy again in more movies. JCVD, it's a really good movie, and one that's criminally underrated. If you have not seen it, even if you don't like Van Damme's other works before, this is one you definitely got to check out. This is such a good, fun, over-the-top movie. It just works. It works to the advantages of Van Damme. It's a great film. It's one I highly recommend checking out. JCVD.
I was always very interested to meet you. I heard so much about you from Vespa. If she hadn't killed herself, we would have had you too.
Are you going to tell us who you work for?
The first thing you should know about us is that we have people everywhere.
I thought I could trust you. You said you weren't motivated by revenge.
I'm motivated by my duty.
I think you're so blinded by inconsolable rage that you don't care who you hurt. When you can't tell your friends from your enemies, it's time to go.
You don't have to worry about me.
Restrict Bond's movements. Put a stop on his passport. Find Bond.
How long have I got? 30 seconds. That doesn't give us a lot of time.
That title probably didn't help the success of this movie overall. I mean, it was a hit overall, but it wasn't the big hit I think a lot of people were expecting it to do, especially with the critics and all that. But we'll get to that in just a second. But in this film, directed by Mark Forster, it features Daniel Craig's second performance as Bond, and in here he's seeking revenge for the death of Vesper, who of course died at the end of Casino Royale, and is signed by Camila Montes, Olga Kurylenko, who is plotting revenge for the murder of her family. The trail eventually leads to wealthy businessman Dominic Green, played by Mathieu Amalric. I think I'm pronouncing that right, a member of the Quantum Organization who intends to stage a coup d'etat in Bolivia to seize control of that country's water supply. Now, this is notable for a couple of reasons. One, like I said, it's the second James Bond movie with Daniel Craig, but it's the first one to continue the story from the last movie, which is something that the other movies didn't really do all that much. I mean, yeah, a lot of the James Bonds that were in there were back in other movies, but this was the first one that actually did continue a story that left off from the original film, because, we didn't really have a story where, once somebody got killed off in the last James Bond movie with Sean Connery, Roger Moore, or Timothy Dalton, or Pierce Brosnan, it's something that didn't continue into the next film. Here you have one that continues right into the next film. And so it kind of made it a big deal to have a continuing arc going on here, and that will continue with the rest of the series in general, with the rest of Daniel Craig's movies. But one of the first problems the film had to face right from the get-go was the writer's strike. And I was talking about this the year before, how the writer's strike kept a lot of high-profile movie and TV show projects in a state of flux because they couldn't get the writers to come back and fix a lot of the scripts, so they had to shoot whatever they had to work with. And a lot of the shows and movies that came out, starting with this particular fall, kind of faltered because of that. And this is the first real major movie to be affected by the writer's strike in general. And so you have this movie here that suffered a lot from when the strike was caused, and part of the big problem is that, you don't have the writers of the James Bond series to work on this because they're on the picket lines fighting for money so they had to film what they had here, and so they basically had to work with whatever Daniel Craig and director Mark Forster had to work with here. And I think it's a great approach to the story. The story that continues to set up from Casino Royale, but that writer's strike really hampered the story big time. And you could tell that that Daniel Craig and Mark Forster had to basically write this stuff on the spot. They didn't have any other backup writers to come in and fix this movie, because it definitely shows in how the story kind of goes all over the place, the jumbling all across the board in this film. And another problem with the film, I thought, was that I felt like they were trying way too hard this time around to go for a more darker tone. This is probably the most violent Bond movie that was made at the time, and it doesn't really go into the actual story, but just to be there just for the sake of giving the film an edge to it. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say that they tried to up the game on Bond, like what happened with Batman in The Dark Knight, and of course, James Bond had new competition in Jason Bourne around this time. But don't worry, folks. The Bond films will have plenty of time to copy The Dark Knight with the next movie we'll look at, which will be the most successful one of the series. But yeah, this isn't going to be the last time James Bond copies off of somebody else in general. In fact, I've been doing that since the very beginning. I mean, Moonraker was literally made to cash in on Star Wars' success, for God's sakes. But I've been kind of negative to this film overall, but I don't hate the movie. I think it's a fine film. That's the best way to describe the movie. It's fine. Daniel Craig's still really good as Bond. The cast in here is still really good. There are some really good action sequences. The pacing does work, but it's definitely a huge knockdown compared to Casino Royale. It's just not as good as it should have been. But then again, I'll take this over the bad James Bond movies any day of the week. I'll take this over Moonraker. I'll take this over Die Another Day. It's Mark Forster. Mark Forster is a more than capable director, and it's not like the film is a complete mess overall. I just think the writer's strike really hurt it in the long run. And I would have been interested to see what he would have done with another film, but hey, it meant that Sam Mendes could come in with the next movie, Skyfall, and deliver what I think is probably one of the better James Bond movies in general, which we'll get to that one in 2012, but this one, it's fine, but you definitely felt like it could have been a whole lot better had the strikes not happened. But that's Quantum of Solace for you. So let's go ahead and move on now to the year's Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards. Let's talk about Danny Boyle's Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire is the winner of the Best Picture of the Year and now nominated for 4 Golden Globe Awards, including Best Director Danny Boyle and Best Picture of the Year. Critics all across the country give Slumdog Millionaire 4 stars. But 4 stars simply aren't enough for this masterpiece that's a tale of unswerving love and will send you out of the theater feeling like a winner. Slumdog Millionaire, rated R, now playing in select theaters.
Quite literally the sleeper that really came out of nowhere, especially considering, this was up for the Academy Award for Best Picture, and, in a year where probably, if The Dark Knight and Wall-E had been nominated in there, chances are those films probably would have won Best Picture over this, but that does not take away from the movie itself, because it is a really good movie where you have the story here of this young kid, Jamal Malik, played by Dev Patel in his film debut. And, he goes on to this game, this equivalent to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I mean, it is literally the same company who produces the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game show that made this movie. And he surprises everybody on the show by answering every question correctly so far, winning upwards to about, I don't know what the currency, I don't know how to pronounce the currency in India, but it's basically the equivalent of $210,000. And he's one question away from winning the grand prize of $420,000 in the U.S., but he's accused of cheating, and he recounts his life story to the police, illustrating how he was able to answer each question. And the film goes through flashbacks of how he got to this point, from his days as a 5-year-old kid all the way to getting on the show, and also trying to win the heart of his girl in this movie, played by Frida Pinto, who's really fantastic in the movie. I mean, these two are so good in this film. This is such a wonderful movie, and it just shows the range of Danny Boyle as a director. I mean, Danny Boyle, we talked about his works in the past. This is his magnum opus, man. This is definitely one of my favorite movies of his. It's such a very entertaining movie. It's an engaging love story. You do want to see Patel and Pinto get together at the end. You want to go on this journey with this guy. It reminds me a lot of The Last Emperor. Maybe that's why I got so invested in seeing The Last Emperor so much, because I saw a lot of similar vibes to Slumdog Millionaire and The Last Samurai. The Last Emperor, excuse me. I'm sorry. I said The Last Samurai. Good Lord. The Last Emperor, the Bernardo Bertolucci movie that won Best Picture in '87. That's the one I want to compare this to, not the Tom Cruise one, no. Slumdog Millionaire kind of made me want to see The Last Emperor, because of just how both of these films felt very similar to one another. And these are two radically different movies. I think that The Last Emperor is an epic film that is using all the abilities of the camera works, of the abilities that they were able to use in filmmaking in '87 to make this grand, epic masterpiece of a film. And in this movie, they're using what they can, having it take place in India and all that, and they're doing a lot what they can do with it here, and they're great character studies. They're great aspiring journeys with this young kid from when he's a little boy to where he is at this movie. And you do root for him on. Like, you do root for him to go on this adventure and get the victory after everything he's gone through. There are parts of this movie that are very hard to watch, but it's one of those movies where it's worth it to get to that big moment at the end where everything just works out in the well for him. And this is a really good movie. This is a fantastic, fantastic film. The music by A.R. Rahman is perfect. It's so well done. The song Jai Ho is so well done. Not just in this movie, but the Pussycat Dolls literally did a song version of this, and surprisingly, it's pretty damn good too. I mean, it's hard not to get attached to this movie, man. This is just such a wonderful, wonderful movie. And, it was... I don't want to say it was the best of the 5 nominated Best Pictures, because Benjamin Button was in there, and we'll get to that one when we get to Christmas time, but it was really a 2-horse race for me that year between Benjamin Button and this movie, and if either one of these had won, I would have been more than happy with that, and I'm glad this won, because, yeah, it's a film that rightfully deserved to win. I think it's a very enjoyable film. It's a wonderfully put together movie, great acting, great storytelling. I mean, it's such a masterpiece of a movie, man. One of Danny Boyle's best films. Slumdog Millionaire, such a terrific, terrific film. Can't recommend this one enough. Definitely check it out.
I'm not scared of you.
You shouldn't have said that.
Critics agree. Twilight is the event film of the holiday season. 4 stars.
I feel very protective of you.
I'm not the most dangerous thing out there.
You coming after me?
The Los Angeles Times calls it a full-blown pop culture phenomenon. In 2 days, see what everybody's talking about. Twilight, rated PG-13, in theaters Friday.
Of course, this is based off of Stephanie Meyer's best-selling books, where you have this film focusing on the development of a relationship between Bella Swan, played by Kristen Stewart, and Edward Cullen, a vampire, played by Robert Pattinson, and the subsequent efforts of Edward and his family to keep Bella safe from a coven of evil vampires. And before I actually watched these movies in one fell swoop for a blog post I did on the main website, I had only seen one Twilight movie in the theater, and that was Eclipse, which I got lucky on that one, because that's the one that I would think is the best movie in the entire series, and that's the one that was actually the most tolerable one, because David Slade, the director of that movie, actually saw something and said, hey, I can make something out of this and not make a movie that's not horrible. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was a lot better than it had any right to be. But, yeah, the Twilight movies in general, I avoided them for the longest time. So 10 years after this whole thing began, I sat down waiting for the worst from this. And finally, after 10 years of release and people saying that it's a bad movie, I have watched it and it's not that bad. I overall didn't hate it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend this is actually a good movie, but the film is a little better than I think most people give it credit for. It wasn't an all-around disaster. There was at least effort being put into this, making it work for the main audience that it will appeal to. It appealed to the fans of the book, the tween girls who are going to go see this movie. You can see why they would indeed get a kick out of this. And while this is very much a generic romantic story, it's not one that I think is offensively bad, but not one that I think is particularly great either. In terms of the positives overall, Catherine Hardwicke, I think, did a pretty good job directing this. She carries much of the film through, and even the visual style of the film. It's not terrible. It's actually nicely done. And Kristen Stewart actually is kind of okay in this movie. It's one of those situations kind of like with the 50 Shades movies, where one half of your main couple is actually trying, while the other is just there to just act weird. And that is Robert Pattinson in this, who really does not work as Edward Cullen. He really does not. He is so one note and looks like he could care less about what he's doing. And, even Jamie Dornan in the 50 Shades of Grey movies, worth at least trying to not look insane. But Pattinson, not so much. But as we've learned from these movies since they've ended, a lot of the people that have been involved in these movies have actually gone on to become pretty damn good actors. Kristen Stewart has gone on to become a really good actress. Robert Pattinson has gone on to be a pretty good actor. But, yeah, in here, yeah, even they can't elevate this material to anything that spectacular. But overall, this first one is just meh. I mean, there's nothing about it that's groundbreaking, but there's nothing that's that downright awful. I mean, we're going to get to some of the worst ones of the series as we move along here. But this one, it's a generic run-of-the-mill movie that left zero impact on me watching it. I saw it. It wasn't as bad as most people made it out to be, and I literally forgot about it the day after I saw it. It's like vapor. It goes through your ears, and you watch it after that, and then you immediately forget about it the next day. And now, if the series had just been this first movie and Eclipse, then Twilight probably would have actually been something. But sadly, there were still 3 more movies to go in this, and they are much, much worse than I was expecting them to be, and that's not promising at all. Although Eclipse was pretty good, so take that for what you will. That's my thoughts on the first Twilight movie. Now let's get to the movie that was overall the best movie that came out this entire weekend, and that is, of course, Disney's latest animated feature, Bolt.
Hello?
Penny, I don't have much time.
Daddy? I don't understand.
It's okay, Penny. You have Bolt. I've altered him. He can protect you now.
Bolt, speak.
Get that dog!
Nice move.
Bolt! You'll never see Penny again!
And cut.
He's the star of the biggest show in Hollywood.
She's still in danger.
The only problem is...
Hold on, Penny.
He thinks it's all real.
Don't let him out. He's never been off the set before. I'm coming, Penny.
Production of the hit television show Bolt shut down today when its star dog went missing.
You look familiar.
What? Yeah, he's real good with the faces and such.
I gotta remember, it's gonna kill me. Hold on. No, I don't know. I thought I knew.
I need someone close to the green-eyed man. A cat.
Wow, it's a good knot. Were you in the Navy?
Well, I'll release you, cat, when we find Penny.
Slow down! You're scraping the fur off my... You must be so scared. Bolt's not scared of anything.
You're Bolt, the super dog! Where's Penny? She was kidnapped by the green-eyed man, but I've captured this cat.
You're crazy, man!
She's taking me to Penny.
I can be a valuable addition to your team.
The road will be rough.
I have a ball.
Easy will be part of the equation.
Promise.
Danger at every turn.
I eat danger for breakfast.
You hungry? Starving.
This November.
How do you say no way I'm doing this in crazy?
Let it begin!
One unlikely team.
Look, genius, you're not a super dog.
Is on a mission to get back home.
He could be anywhere by now.
This is awesome.
And the comedy event of the holiday season.
Bolt!
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 is about to be unleashed.
Super bar! Super bar!
We need a fast set of wheels. I'll get my ball.
Bolt.
Let it begin! Let it begin!
Talk about a movie that a lot of people were not expecting to be as good as it ended up being. But man, this movie is essentially the Oliver and Company of this third Disney Renaissance, if you will, because, you know, Meet the Robinsons kind of was the equivalent to, you know, The Great Mouse Detective back in '86, and then the next movie, The Princess and the Frog, was the equivalent to Little Mermaid. Then Tangled essentially became Beauty and the Beast, and then so on and so forth. I mean, this literally is the third Disney Renaissance we're starting to get into here, and even though I didn't like Meet the Robinsons, you got to give credit where credit is due. Once John Lasseter and his crew from Pixar came into Disney's animation studios, it led to this new creative direction that eventually led to a lot of really good movies from this era, and it's still continuing to this very day. Maybe not with every movie, but we'll delve into those as we go along here. But in terms of Bolt, this is a movie where you have John Travolta as a dog named Bolt, who spent his entire life on the set of a television series and firmly believes that he has superpowers. When his beloved owner Penny, played by Miley Cyrus, is kidnapped on the show, in quotation marks because this is all fake, Bolt runs away from the set to rescue her, eventually teaming up with a sarcastic alley cat named Mittens, played by Susie Essman, and a hamster named Rhino, played by Mark Walton, who is a fan of Bolt's television series, to embark on a cross-country journey back home. And the reason why this movie works so well is because it's just such a delightful, fun movie. It has the same enjoyment level of something like Oliver and Company. I mean, this is a film that really does feel like a nice slice-of-life movie where you have this character that... This is basically the Disney equivalent to The Truman Show, and it really could have gone down that route where it could have just easily just ripped off The Truman Show and just be done with it. But no, they took it an extra level. They brought a nice little homecoming, coming-of-age storyline here where you have this character played by John Travolta who has to deal with the fact that slowly but surely he has to realize that the world around him is not like the television show. It's like real life, and the film does a very good job of handling that, and like it doesn't go down the same predictable routes that you think it does. I mean, there is not even a big misunderstanding, a misunderstanding at the end of the movie that luckily isn't focused on too much. I mean, it's gone within like a couple of minutes overall, and of course there's even a little bit of a third act breakup, but again, not as bad as you would think it would be. Like, it's something that's briefly touched on, and then immediately it's resolved pretty quickly. And nobody in here is double-crossing anybody. Miley Cyrus's character in this, I really like what she does in this movie, because I like the fact that her character isn't just another typical kid character where, you know, she just gives up on finding the dog, finding Bolt after all this time he's been gone. No, she still very much wants to go and find him, but she can't because she has all these obligations, and this kind of dickheadish PR agent played very well by Greg Germain. In fact, a lot of the voice casting in here is really good too. I mean, James Lipton has a fun little role in here as the director. I mean, the guy who's of course been known for Inside the Actors Studio, he hasn't done a ton of acting roles where he's playing another character, but here I think he does it pretty well. It's a small role in here, but he plays it well to a T. I mean, you got Diedrich Bader and Nick Offerman having a fun role in here, playing the faux villainous cats of the main villain played by Malcolm McDowell. I mean, this is a really, really fun movie. It's a very fun film overall, and you just like the character so much. Bolt is such a fun, delightful character, and the way they animate him, like, it's hard to not get attached to a little dog like that. I mean, he is cute, but he's also kind of a fun little badass too. Like, I like the way that, you know, he uses these powers, and he thinks he's using these powers in real life, but it's just the fact that, you know, just crazy circumstances happen. Like, you see a little bit in the trailer there, the super bark is used, like, you know, with the help of a Rhino, and the way it's done in that you know, animal shelter that they go to in the middle there, like, it's a film that does all the tropes that you would expect it to do, but it never goes the full way through. It's only like little bits and pieces there, but it just works so well. And it knows it's not going to play dumb to its audience. Like, this is a smartly made film. Kids can get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and adults can get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And it doesn't have to dumb down to its audience in any way, shape, or form. This is such a very good movie, a very well-made film. One of my favorite underrated Disney movies, a film that especially with what they've done after this, like Tangled, Frozen, Princess and the Frog. This one kind of gets a little bit pushed off to the side, but it's still one of my favorite ones to watch. Anytime it's on TV on Freeform, I'm automatically watching it because I just love this movie so much. I love the relationship between Bolt and Penny. I love the characters in this movie. I think it's just such a good, fun movie, a well-made film. Can't recommend this one enough. Bolt is absolutely amazing. It's a must-watch film from Disney.
Hey, Dad.
Mom, hey.
Listen, Mama got bad news. We're not going to be able to make it tomorrow.
It's me.
No one was more upset than we were last year that she got into a happening and deal with the situation.
Every year, Brad and Kate spend the holidays avoiding their families.
No flights are coming in and no flights are going out.
This isn't happening. Do you have a sister airline?
No, I'm sorry. How about a cousin airline? No, we don't. How about like an airline that your airline's felt up before?
But this year,
where are you headed for the holidays?
They'll be forced to celebrate.
Hi, Mom.
It's my dad.
They just saw us on the news.
With all of them.
Okay, he's gonna give you a big hug when he sees you, Mom.
I'm not hugging anybody.
He's very excited about the hug.
From New Line Cinema.
We just got to get through these 4 Christmases as quickly and as painlessly as possible.
I'm stuck in it. Merry Christmas, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Good to see you, Mom. Merry Christmas, Dad. Hey, these are my brothers, Denver and Dallas. You must be Orlando's girl.
Orlando?
We're all named after the cities that we were conceived in.
That's disgusting.
Oh, my God.
4 families.
Bradley, I'm not trying to be your father. I'm hoping for a chance to be your friend.
Well, you were my friend. You were my best friend. But now you're sleeping with my mom, and it's a little bit weird for me.
One day.
That's you?
Mom, did you put that on the mantle? I love that photo.
You look huge.
I ate my feelings, Brad.
She must have had a lot of bad feelings.
No mercy.
You left me in the jump to die.
I thought you were waving at me like, hey, I'm getting past my fears. What would cross my mind over this to think that you could possibly be getting shanked by 4-year-olds?
How can you really appreciate someone for who they are unless you know them?
My brothers, they're trained UFC fighters.
Oh.
Soldier boy! Soldier boy!
Where's your sissy?
All they want for Christmas.
I just got to adjust it. Pull the damn thing. Too much.
Is an exit strategy. Vince Vaughn, Reese Witherspoon.
Hello. Did Jackson project on it?
I'll move on it.
4 Christmases.
You gotta get out of here. I can't breathe. I'm gonna do it too.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, I knew this movie wasn't that great back then, but man, I forgot how terrible this movie really is. Because, okay, this isn't Deck the Halls or Christmas with the Cranks kind of bad, but it's a type of bad that I've kind of talked about with other Christmas movies around this time period. But this is a story, as you can see from the trailer. Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon are a couple who must travel to 4 family parties after their vacation plans get canceled due to dense fog, and basically a nosy reporter who apparently wants to fuck around with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, because not only does she does this at the beginning of the movie, she does this again at the end of the movie. Like, just finds the one couple that just happens to be Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, and yeah, you can see where the problems start to come into play here. This movie pretty much has everything that's wrong with a lot of these late 2000s Christmas movies. They feel fabricated by the studios. The heart is not clearly in them. They're just there so that they can be out, they can make money at first, and then even if they don't make money, don't worry, they're still going to make a ton of money when they start playing them on TV over the next 15 years, which 4 Christmases, sure enough, has definitely become one of those movies. You see it every year on AMC, and yeah, needless to say, this thing is not held up well, and you can see from the trailer how bad this movie is. I mean, this is not a funny movie at all. With the one exception, I like the subplot where Vince Vaughn's best friend is actually dating his mother, played by Sissy Spacek, which I thought that was actually one of the funnier moments in the movie, where, you know, Vince Vaughn is so detestable of this guy that he used to call his friend, and he's just like, you know, we were best friends, and then he started banging my mother, pretty much. Like, that's a good funny moment in there, and there is even a legitimate heartfelt moment between Jon Voight and Reese Witherspoon as father and daughter. That subplot overall is pretty good. The other 2 subplots, though, not so much. Robert Duvall, and of course Jon Favreau, and I think that's Tim McGraw as the other brother. Mary Steenburgen, and Kristen Chenoweth usually is very funny, but even she can't save this. I mean, just things just happen in this movie for the sake of things to happen so that we can move a plot along here. You never feel like there's anything that's making this worthy of a Christmas movie. In fact, if this movie had not been called Four Christmases, you could have called this anything else. Like, you could have called it Four Birthdays. Like, everybody has 4 different birthdays in the same month. Or maybe like with my family, we have like 5 different birthdays in the month of March. So we have to get together at some point. But our family is at least smart enough to make it once at one time and not have it be 4 separate events overall. But yeah, this film is not that good. In fact, it's not even that great overall. I mean, I didn't hate it back then, but as time has gone on, and I finally got to watch this again a couple of years ago, I started realizing that, yeah, this puppy ain't working, man. I mean, Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon are trying their best to save it, but again, like most bad comedies, they aren't given a lot of funny things to work with here. I mean, the crux of the jokes in that trailer, oh, the baby spit up and Vince Vaughn's got a gag reflex. It's just like, come on, man. I mean, really? Like, I don't know, man. I just did not like this movie at all. Like, I liked it back then, but, man, it has not held up well over time whatsoever. It's a lame movie, man. And a prime example of the late 2000s Christmas movies that were clearly just made so they could get them out there, so they can be seen as holiday classics, when they're really not. Nobody's going to watch this every year like you're going to watch A Christmas Story every year, like It's a Wonderful Life, or Home Alone, or Elf, or The Polar Express. Far better movies than this movie right here. This is like that. This is like Fred Claus, or the worst Christmas comedies, Christmas with the Cranks, Deck the Halls, where it shows up on your TV every year, and Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon are just packing on the residuals for every time it plays on TV every other day during the month of December, which this movie has done that, and then some. I know it was like that last year, but bottom line, this movie is not that good, so yeah, avoid Four Christmases like the plague. See better Christmas movies out there. I would even say see Fred Claus again. Fred Claus was at least trying to do something. This is just a movie that felt like it was just etched together at the last minute. Like I said, not Christmas with the Cranks or Deck the Halls bad, but pretty lame overall. So that's Four Christmases. Let's move on to the next movie, and that's Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman and Baz Luhrmann's latest film, Australia.
He was an outsider. You other boys want to have a go? Who answered to no one.
I learned a long time ago not to fight other people's wars.
That's why it is.
Just because it is doesn't mean it should be.
This Thanksgiving, they came from different worlds, but they share one destiny. Nicole Kidman.
We can't let them win.
Hugh Jackman. Australia.
This film is not yet rated.
This is a really odd movie because I really like the first half of it, and then the second half is where it kind of falls apart with me. But this is a story that's a character story set between 1939 and 1942 against a dramatized backdrop of events across northern Australia at the time, such as the bombing of Darwin during World War II, with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman at the forefront of this. And this is Baz Luhrmann's first film after Moulin Rouge, and it's not a bad movie per se, but it's definitely a film where, like I said, the first half, you really do get invested in it. You really do go along with the ride. Some really good, beautiful shots all across this film, but the best part of it is in the first half. The second half is where it kind of starts to fall apart. It kind of reminds me of W a little bit, where the first half was really good. Second half starts to peter off a little bit here, but a lot like W, where I actually did kind of enjoy that more. I really think the second half of this really falls off to a point where there's no real saving grace for it, per se. Things just happen for the sake of happening, and yeah, the visuals are nice to look at, and yeah, you get to see Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman on screen, and Nicole Kidman, I think, gets naked in this, but in the end, is that really what you want to go to a movie like this for? I mean, you want to see... I get what they're trying to do here. They're trying to create another, Out of Africa, or another, African Queen, or Lawrence of Arabia, or Havana, or Far and Away, like these big epic movies, and this is what they were trying to do here with this, and Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, those type of movies, but yeah, this one just doesn't quite do that per se. Not because the actors aren't trying. The actors are trying their best here. I just really don't think there was enough there for the second half of the movie to really keep us afloat overall. And with Baz Luhrmann, I'm mostly mixed on him. I liked Romeo and Juliet. I like Moulin Rouge. I really like what his next film's going to be, The Great Gatsby. Everything else of his, not so much. This is definitely one of his lesser films. And he went ahead and made a extended version of this for Hulu not too long ago, which was Far Way Down, which was seen as kind of like a serialized version of it. And I watched it to see maybe if I watch this, maybe I'll find the true beauty of this thing. Maybe this is something that I need to see to really appreciate how good this is. And to be honest, I didn't really get a whole lot from it per se. I guess it's an interesting concept to re-edit the movie together into a 6-part series, and I'll give him credit for trying. I'll give him credit for trying to do something unique and different with it, but it just isn't enough there to really carry as a film overall. Overall, it's not a bad film, but it's definitely a film where it is the perfect example of a style over substance movie. The first half, I think, is really good. Second half is where it falls off completely, and it's a shame because there's a lot of things I like in here, but the script is all over the place, and there's not really much going on in the second half to make me want to stick around for it, so mixed opinion on Australia. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Transporter 3.
As good as the car it drives. Take care of the car will take care of you.
On November 26th.
Anything I should know?
When you go past 75 feet from the car,
Complete the mission. Save your life.
Do it!
Frank, where are you?
Like.
Can you be more specific?
Jason Statham.
Fasten your seatbelt.
Transporter 3, rated PG-13, in theaters on November 26th.
Yeah, screw the family movies, screw Twilight, screw Four Christmases. Let's take Grandma and the kids out to see Transporter 3. I don't get why they released this on Thanksgiving weekend. Like, this is a film that I feel like if it's gonna do well enough, it's gonna do well over Labor Day, because that's how the other movies opened up. Transporter and Transporter 2 were big successes over the Labor Day weekend, but you're opening this on a weekend with so many blockbusters out there, this is gonna get lost in the shuffle, and honestly, it's not the best of the Transporter movies per se. Jason Statham's back as Frank Martin, who returns to France in order to continue his low-key business of delivering packages without question. And one of the packages this time around is a woman played by Natalia Rudakova, who they eventually have to go to this place because there's a bomb on his car, and I guess they're tied together or something like that. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but I remember this one not being as good as it should have been. I mean, this is not as good as the other Transporters movies. Silly, but fun. This one I felt like they were trying a little too seriously, but even when they get stupid, they get really stupid at it. There's literally a scene in the movie where Jason Statham is fighting bad guys, and he's stripping while he's also doing kung fu. It's just like, I'm pretty sure that's not the best way to go, because as soon as somebody sees that your dick is out, the first thing they're going to do is try to cut that off of you, and then you're completely helpless at that point. But then again, would I expect anything better from the director of Taken? Not the good Taken, Taken 2 and Taken 3, and Columbiana, just these lesser movies that were probably better off in other films in general. But this one, yeah, this is not what you expect from the same director. You're not expecting high quality from the same director as Taken 2 and 3. And this film definitely is the weakest of the Transporter movies, but to its credit, it's not terrible. It's just not as good as the other films are. But I will give it this. It's better than their reboot that they tried to do 7 years later with Transporter Refueled, which they take the absurdity to insane levels in that one. But we'll save that for 2015. But Transporter 3, it is what it is. It's not as good as the other films, but I guess I can't say it's absolutely horrible. So with that said, let's move on to the last one we have here, and that's Sean Penn starring as Harvey Milk in Milk. Recruit me to win that Oscar! Okay, last time I'm going to use this as a prop, but truth be told, unlike Angelina Jolie and Changeling, Sean Penn did actually win the Oscar for this. Some might say it wasn't worth it, but the movie wasn't bad. Of course, this is the story of the first openly gay man to be elected to public office in California as a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. And Harvey Milk, of course, was assassinated in 1978 by the mayor, George Moscone, was also assassinated on that day. And the film goes back in time to show you how it led up to the 78 assassination. And like I said, it's not a bad movie at all. It's a good movie. Sean Penn really does give it his all as Harvey Milk in here. Gus Van Sant delivers, I think, his best film overall since Good Will Hunting. And it's an enjoyable movie. You have a cast that also includes Emile Hirsch, Josh Brolin, Diego Luna, James Franco. But, yeah, I think to me, though, the fact that Sean Penn won an Oscar for this, I mean, in any other year when there wasn't any good performances, I probably would have given him the award, but this was the year that Brad Pitt was nominated for Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Mickey Rourke was nominated for The Wrestler. Dev Patel was nominated for Slumdog Millionaire. Richard Jenkins was nominated for The Visitor. And honestly, I would rather take any of those four to win Best Actor than Sean Penn did. Sean Penn's already got an Oscar, and even in that year, he wasn't better than Bill Murray. Bill Murray, I think, is much better than in Lost in Translation in that movie than he was in Mystic River. Even though I like Mystic River, this just feels like we have to give him 2 Oscars for his great work overall. It's like Anthony Hopkins not too long ago. Like, here's your Oscar for your body of work, not because you gave a great performance overall, but this is your Oscar because we respect you as an actor. And but I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking that per se. But like I said, he's not bad in the movie. He's actually really good in here, and this is a really good story about a critical moment that happened in history. I mean, this was a moment that happened in back in the 70s, and there was a great documentary, The Times of Harvey Milk, which was released in '84, I think it was. That I was recommended by Cisco and Ebert, and I thought that was actually really good. So yeah, this is a fascinating film overall. Is it the best movie? Is it one of the best movies of the year? No, not really. It's not even, I think, Sean Penn's best performance overall. I think he's made a lot of other great movies than this, but just shows you how far he's come from that surfer dude from Fast Times at Ridgemont High 26 years ago. But yeah, I'm talking bad about this film overall, but I do like it. I think it is an enjoyable movie. It's a very entertaining film. Sean Penn's really good in it. The writing is very good. And for Gus Van Sant to come back from Psycho after all these years and make his best film since Good Will Hunting, I mean, this is definitely the direction you want to go with a guy like him. So, yeah, I like it. I really do enjoy it. I think it is a very entertaining film. I recommend it. Milk. Now, one note of correction before anyone in the comments says, oh, you got this wrong here. Dev Patel was not nominated for Slumdog Millionaire for Best Actor. It was actually Frank Langella for Frost Nixon, which, again, a much better movie, I think, than a much better performance than I think of Sean Penn here. But I bring this up because when we meet next time on Time About the Movies, that is one of the 4 films we'll take a look at.